Welcome to one casual retail player's journey back in time to his youth and where it all began. Join me as we compare and contrast then and now in an epic journey from retail to classic. I play a lot of MMORPGs. Unlike a lot of people, and against the general intended design of MMORPGs, that being that you're supposed to pick one and stay with it and play it for a long time, maybe even forever, I tend to flip from one to another like some sort of fancy boy, tasting a bit of everything from the buffet like a greedy little piggy. I think it is something to do with undiagnosed ADHD, but what can I say? I like a bit of variety. Now, I can probably only really get away with this because I approach these games in a more casual way. MMOs tend to demand a lot of time from you, grinding to gear up for harder endgame challenges and the like, so it is safe to say that I am mostly interested in the base game of any MMO with a little bit of endgame / side content attached. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I believe that all parts of the MMO should be enjoyable, and that includes the game itself. And I believe that the base game is just as important as the end game. This is just how I derive joy from this genre. I know that these games have so much more in them than I usually touch upon, and it does raise the question of why I love the genre so much. So in a bit of an abridged explanation, I just like the idea of a persistent world that people visit, each one doing their own thing, just like a city in real life. People meeting and diverging as they go on their own adventures and have their own experiences. Also, I am old enough to have been a teenager when World of Warcraft came out, which I did play at the time, so there is also a healthy dose of nostalgia as well. Now, I spend an upsetting amount of time watching other MMORPG creators on YouTube, as well as reading sites like Massively OP and actually trying these games for myself, so my dedication and love of the genre isn't in question, even if my ability is. My last video was a gushing explanation of why I love Guild Wars 2, and indeed I think if pushed, I would probably say that that is my favourite MMO. But the other MMORPG that rates highly on my internal MMORPG tier list is the aforementioned World of Warcraft. I play retail, and I made another video recently about how much I enjoyed the new expansion The War Within. I just love the world and the aesthetics of Warcraft, so it will always be a close second to Guild Wars 2, which ironically it seems hell-bent on copying at every turn. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, I guess, unless you work for ArenaNet perhaps. So let's go back to my comment a moment ago about having played WoW near to when it first released. Long story short, I really enjoyed the setting and the concept, but I was totally shit at it. Whilst I was objectively shit, I was also blissfully oblivious to this fact as well. I steered with A&D and I just sort of ran about dying and slowly killing crappy little mobs. I never got any further than level 40, and as I have said before in another video, I was sort of guided about the place by a friend who played, and so was never really forced to learn the game myself. Plenty of time passed and I got back into WoW around Battle for Azeroth and then again at Shadowlands. I know, right, it's a great time to get involved in World of Warcraft, and I've been playing ever since. I also played a massive chunk of Elder Scrolls Online and Destiny 2 in the time between, so I didn't abandon the genre completely. On a number of occasions, probably driven by curiosity and nostalgia, I have booted up WoW Classic and sort of not really done much. Found it sort of jarring in opposition to WoW Retail and just sort of didn't. But I've always wanted to one day play through vanilla WoW and reach top level, and that day has come. Also, inspired by comments on some of my videos, I've been thinking about the importance of the base game in an MMORPG, along with the notion that these games have changed and they don't make them like they used to, and everyone just rushing through the game to get to endgame, along with developers actually redesigning the game to facilitate this rush. I know that Classic is a slower, more thoughtful game, and so I wanted to revisit it and document my experience as a more casual retail player to really experience what is held up as the golden era of WoW and perhaps MMORPGs in general. I shall let it be known at the time of starting this endeavour that I probably fall on the side of being pro many of the features and changes that Blizzard have made over the years, believing that they provide quality of life and a generally more frictionless experience. I will also add that I have never played any version of WoW with a single add-on. I am that guy. As it was the 20th anniversary of WoW, I set out to create a character on the new servers and complete a long-held ambition. So before you come on a journey with me through Azeroth, let's just lay out some of the goals and the basic rules of this project. Firstly, reach level 60, which is the top level of Vanilla Classic. Secondly, compare and contrast the game design and features then and now. What was good that was lost and what was bad that was added. Thirdly, engage in continual self-deprecation as we all have a good laugh at just how shit I am and the derpy mistakes that I make. Fourthly, try to learn all I need about the game from what is presented to me in the game or other players I talk to. Where possible, I will avoid going to wikis or help sites. I have some prior knowledge of WoW and MMOs in general, but I am in no way an expert and my mind has been dulled by my love of the Halfling's Leaf, so I don't really retain a lot of information too good. In addition, I will be streaming some of this experience over on Twitch when I can. The channel link is down below if anyone wants to join me. Right, so with that out of the way and expectations fully managed, all that remains to do is decide upon a class to play and an appropriate name that has the word fart in it, and then set off for adventure. But as we are going to learn, no task is ever that easy, and so starts the first dilemma. Character creation is a much more simplified process in vanilla, and there are fewer races and classes are restricted to certain races. I had a few characters already created and I had a little play around with some classes to try and figure out what I would play for this. As my all-time favourite class in retail, and indeed any MMO that has a similar option, is Hunter, I decided to go with that. Hunter was also the class I played almost 20 years ago in OG WoW, so extra motivation to play it. I excitedly started to craft Grandpa Fart, taking time to get the right look, and then I enter the game. I was going to be human as I wanted to give myself those real nostalgic feels from my past, and I wanted to start in Northshire and experience Elwyn Forest. Classic stuff. Now, one thing we must pay attention to is the little intro each race gets when you start the game as a new character. We do a flyover of the land of our starting area and we are given some info on our race, which gives us a proper idea of our place in the world and its relationships with other races and factions. Unlike what WoW has become nowadays, where you are the champion of champions, the most specialist of ones and the hero of all of Azeroth, in Classic you are just another soul in the world. You will level up and help your people and their cause and take your place within the world of Warcraft, which thematically is much better for immersion. But let's listen to this fucking S-tier voice acting.
Backed by their stalwart allies, the armies of Stormwind have been called away to fight the savage horde on distant battlefields. With the armies gone, the defense of Stormwind now falls to its proud citizens. You must defend the kingdom against the foul mongrels that encroach upon it, and hunt down the subversive traitors who seek to destroy it from within. Now is the time for heroes. Now humanity's greatest chapter can be told.
Magnificent. Unfortunately, my stupid retail ass was too invested in choosing the right type of bald haircut to remember that humans can't be hunters like they can in later WoW expansions, so we log out and go again. I do some fucking about and I am about to generate Grandpa Fart 2 when I stop myself because I was literally about to do the same thing. So I ponder some more, and seeing as I want to be a hunter, I thought I'll be a gnome, so I go to create Rat Fart. Then I realised not only can gnomes not be hunters in Classic, just like humans, but I didn't even try to select hunter from the class list, so I was just making another fucking warrior. So, whilst pondering whether I have early onset dementia, I hit the create character button again. I have finally managed to get my brain cells in a row, and if I am to be a hunter, it will have to be either dwarf or night elf. I don't want to start in Darnassus, so I choose Dwarf. The randomly generated character reminds me of West Ham defensive legend James Collins, so James Collins the Dwarf is born and we get another little lore fly through. Now, first things first, I want to level through Elwyn Forest, as I said, so this dwarf is going on a road trip. So the plan is we run to Ironforge, and then we get the deep run tram to Stormwind, and take a little run around the corner to Northshire. And we're here. Right, let's get to work. We pick up our first quest outside the Abbey, and we have our first difference in gameplay design. There is no quest marker, no arrow to tell me what to do. Where do I go? What do you mean I have to read the fucking quest description? It will tell you what you need to know, but you will have to keep checking in with the quest log, as not only is there no map arrow to guide you, but you can't mouse over the enemy to see whether it is part of a quest you're currently on. You gotta work for this shit, which, whilst a bit jarring at first, does start to show its charm after a while, and definitely gives a sense of having earned it. Quite how much will become apparent later down the line, but at this point it was definitely something that I was missing from retail. Our first mission is to kick the shit out of not just a classic World of Warcraft enemy, but a classic fantasy enemy in general, the humble kobold. Now, these things bring back a lot of memories from playing the game in my youth. Also, my other fond memory of kobolds is from a Dungeons and Dragons campaign I played as a teenager, where we were fairly high level, maybe 15 or something, so pretty tough and hardy for 2nd edition, and we had our path blocked by hundreds of kobolds in game. And at the level we were, there really wasn't a dice roll you could roll that wouldn't result in you just punting them all over the place. Even rolling a 1 and fumbling would have probably have just resulted in you falling on one and killing it by accident. If I remember correctly, I think I remember people throwing them to each other and then volleying them. Anyway, good, clean, wholesome fun. And that is what we're doing here as well. Only in that D&D campaign, they were at least malevolent and were trying, emphasis on trying, to hurt us. These kobolds are just wandering about. They are absolutely no threat to anyone except that they have taken to mining the minerals that I guess belong to us humans. Well, them's the breaks, and I guess we're just gonna have to kill you now. I did a little bit of googling on kobolds when I was writing this, and originally they seem to have been seen as some sort of Germanic boyish house imps who like milk. Quite interesting, you can look it up for yourself. So we get down to the business of shooting kobolds, and here is the next major difference from retail. It is more of a hunter specific difference than WoW in general, but that is the ranged weapon dead zone. This is when an enemy gets too close, you can no longer shoot them with your ranged weapon. You have to switch to melee combat. Now, I had been used to being the most basic of bitches, wheeling about all over the place, just firing off abilities willy-nilly. No casting times, no dead zone, just maximum mobility. I'll be honest, there are going to be a lot of things that I will probably come around to or even end up preferring about Classic, but the dead zone probably isn't one of them. Why I can't just fucking shoot you in the face when I'm standing in front of you, I don't know, but there it is. What this does mean though is that every engagement is considered. Am I at maximum distance so that I can get off as many ranged attacks as possible before the enemy reaches me and I have to switch to melee combat? And furthermore, you actually have to buy and stock bullets for your fucking gun, which, you know, kind of makes perfect sense when you think about it, but it is just another irritant and something you need to pay attention to. Just more resources that need to be managed by someone with a messy brain for that type of thing. You can see why I play Beastmaster main in retail. So this is all something that kind of gets to me, but it has to be said that it is in keeping with the general feel and pace of Classic WoW. Anyway, when you start, you really don't have anything, just your basic attacks. You have to work for everything, and when you do get a new skill, it kind of feels special. The general pace of everything is slower, and this also means that stuff like gaining a level has more impact, and therein lies our next difference. You have to go to a skill trainer and purchase the skill to be able to use it. It doesn't just appear on your hotbar like it does in retail. So collecting trash that drops from mobs is important, as that is how you're going to scrape together enough money to buy the skill, along with any money that you get given to you for completing quests. So if you reach the next level and you don't have the cash, well sorry pal, you've got to wait until you do and then travel to the trainer. Which highlights a teeny bit of a problem that I didn't foresee when I was gleefully riding the tram from Ironforge. You don't get hunters at Northshire Abbey. Humans can't be hunters, we found that out before. So because of that, there are no hunter trainers in the Abbey where the other class trainers are. So this means my only method of learning skills lies in the city of Stormwind. So my want to level through Elwyn Forest is gonna cost me a bit of shoe leather. I have a bit of a cry, then this guy cries with me. What a sympathetic guy. Then naturally, we lay down together and have a bit of a nap in the road, and I log off for a bit. When I log back in, I decide to knock out a few quests, have a little nose around the mine, then I'm off to Stormwind to find the skill trainer. En route, we drop by Goldshire and bash out another quick quest. Then, once again, we enter Stormwind, but this time from the front entrance, and we get to marvel at the statues on the outside. This brings back a fair amount of memories as well. Once inside, we make our way to the Dwarven Quarter, where we can find some of our kin waiting ready to skill us up. Whilst there are no arrows leading you directly to your objective, meaning you do have to search around, the mini-map will display a little yellow dot when you get close, but only if they are a part of a quest. So I had to just run about until I found the stable master standing outside the shop. I get aspects of the monkey and track beast, which on the face of it are not very exciting, but Serpent Sting is my first jazzy combat spell, which will apply a damage over time effect, sort of like a poison dart if you will. I pop by Thorman Flintcrag's gun shop and get myself a wee upgrade, and back we go to Northshire. I go to the flight master at Stormwind to pick up the flight path, and my stupid retail brain assumes I can fly back to Goldshire. But of course, there isn't a flight path at Goldshire in this version. There are, in general, far less flight paths in Classic, and obviously you can't fly a mount, so you do have to get around on the existing flight paths, tram and boats. And I think at this point I realised why perhaps I had memories of feeling like I was on a grand adventure and adventuring all around when I played in my youth. And it's probably because I actually had to fucking run everywhere and it took time. You literally felt like you had been on a journey when you got to where you were going, because you literally fucking had. Passing through Goldshire, we pick up some more available quests, and again, there are more kobolds that need a kicking. But we will deal with the rest of those after we have dealt with the troubles in Northshire. My next mission is to sort out the Defias Brotherhood, a gang of total shits hanging out to the east of Northshire Abbey. As it happens, these are spread all across the starting areas, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. I go back to Northshire and start slapping them about, and this introduces us to another element of WoW Classic you have to deal with, and another thing that adds significant playtime. I need red bandanas to drop, and these are pure RNG, random number generation to anyone that doesn't know. And you are no guarantee they will drop every time. So you often find yourself running around praying that that last item will drop so you can complete your quest. I spend about half an hour killing bandits, gathering grapes for Millie and taking out Garrick Padfoot. We turn in the completed quests in Goldshire and it is off to the Fargo Deep Mines, a place literally dripping in nostalgia. Even my addled mind has always remembered the Fargo Deep Mines. Descending down the steep slope towards the entrance to the mine, this place felt like a dungeon to me when I was younger. Another half hour later, and we have scouted the mines and collected all the gold dust and candles we need, and we can go and turn in these quests. On our way back, I appreciate how nice Elwyn Forest looks, and how I may be coming around to the original graphics. I'll admit that as shallow as it is, one of the main reasons I never went back and played Classic is I couldn't stand the old character models in contrast to the delightfully stylised retail models. But the more time I spend in Classic, the more I think it's growing on me. It probably helps having a decent enough PC that I can just turn all the graphics up to full. I know ground clutter may hinder me in places when I'm trying to look for something, but for now, I am really enjoying the aesthetics. We get back to Goldshire, hand in some quests, get more quests to kill more kobolds, and I'm getting a little worried I'm going to find myself in The Hague for war crimes in the future as my one-man crusade against the kobolds continue, and then I decide to call it a day, and I pop upstairs in the Lion Pride's Inn and have a sleep. We go to bed having made it to level 7, and we can dream about our next target, reaching level 10, and finally throwing off our L plates and getting ourselves our very own pet, and becoming a real hunter. Upon logging back in and waking up again, I give some thought as to why I felt it necessary to find a bed to sleep in before I logged out the night before, and then I put such trivial things behind me and get my mind back on the game. I have a quest to take some candles to Stormwind, so it seems like the perfect time to go visit the skill trainer, and I learn Hunter's Mark and Arcane Shot, so we're starting to add to our offensive capabilities. As far as combat goes, I kind of feel like your auto shot is way more important than in retail. In retail I feel like it's just inconsequential, but not here. Here it is all just part of the Classic experience. With our new skills loaded, we're off to do more kobold murder in the Jasper Lode mine. Once again, we actually have to read the quest log to locate the direction of travel and landmarks to pay attention to actually find the mines. Which, while annoying at first for my coddled retail brain, is starting to charm me as I settle into the pace of Classic. While I am settling into the pace, I'm still having trouble applying the right amount of caution, and perhaps in what seems fair considering I have probably murdered several of their family members, I bite off more than I can chew and I get wrecked by a group of kobolds. Oh, how the tables have turned. We make our way closer and closer to the mine and I suffer several deaths. Trust me, this is the start of a trend. I wake up, I run, I die.
I wake up, I run, I die.
I wake up, I run, I die. I wake up, I run, I die.
But persistence pays off and I enter the mine, and after offing a kobold, I get jumped by some spiders and served a swift portion of humble pie. Ah, hello spirit healer, my only friend. I just keep forgetting to sit down and fucking eat after battle. I keep engaging another enemy before I am healed and then panicking and dying. In retail, you just wheel from one enemy to the next without caring the world. I get back in the mines and kill a couple of kobold but then have to run for my life, and upon reaching safety and escaping, my stupid poo brain immediately empties, I forget what I'm doing, and I instinctively just shoot another kobold and then get stabbed to death while I've got barely any health. I truly suck at this game, and I am genuinely wondering whether this will turn me off. But the thought of getting that pet is driving me on. So back into the spidery mines we go, and this time I get a little further because some Chad night elf has killed a load of spiders that were in the way, and I end up engaging one in combat, but when I look around, the Chad has gone, and I am alone, and I die again. Now my gear is completely fucked and I'm going to have to go and get it repaired. Just another thing to worry about and manage. I go back into the mine again and decide to try and teabag my own corpse out of self-loathing before I resurrect. I realise how fucking succulent my calves are, and as I am watching those chonky pistons, I get myself into a bit of spider bother again and decide to just risk it and just run in to complete the scouting part of the mission and then leg it away as fast as my meaty calves will carry me. We escape the spiders only to be chased by some kobolds and then run directly into a murloc encampment. Not even my sweet homoerotic lederhosen can protect me here, and I die again. I would put up a death counter, but let's face it, I'm going to die so much and I can't be bothered to remember to do it. But now that we have the quest completed, we can turn it in and fix our gear at the same time. Now that's efficient. Now that we're all fixed up, it is time to do as the Pet Shop Boys did and go west. We're off to the Westbrook garrison to switch up our genocidal tendencies with a bit of gnoll bashing, which is a nice little palate cleanser. As I travelled to the South Cairn Lake, because I obviously didn't read the quest log well enough and chose to go to the furthest point to kill the river pole gnolls, I pop into the forest and tap a few bears and wolves as I am very close to level 8. Only 2 more levels to go until we can tame nature and then use it to attack things, just like God intended. I reach the lake and find some murloc murder in progress, so I shout some encouragement from the sidelines before I have to run away as a level 10 murloc is about to fuck up my shit. I find the gnolls, and I'm getting marginally better at scoping out the enemies in an area. I pick off a few and also learn the core skill of running away. But then I go back and pull 3 gnolls by accident, and no amount of running will save me, and we record yet another death. I keep chipping away at the gnolls and periodically dying, and when I do defeat one in combat, I am always nearly dead myself. They are the same level as me or one above, but it is without a doubt that Vanilla Classic is way more of a challenge than Retail. I am undecided how I feel about this at this point, but nonetheless I remain unperturbed. I decide to have a break from gnolls and take a pop at some murlocs, but instantly pull 2 and die again. My affinity for death is making my journey to level 10 very slow indeed. As I'm bored of the gnoll quest, I wander about killing wildlife on my way back to Goldshire, where Remy 2 times, one of the best names yet, wants me to speak to Marshal Duggan and convince him that murlocs are a menace and should be taken seriously. I completely agree, the fishy little dickheads. So before we set out again on my quests, I buy a new axe, which will increase my damage output slightly. But deep down inside, I think we all know that my problems are deeper than just equipment. New axe in hand, we head east along the main path to see Guard Thomas, who tells us that the local wildlife is getting a bit out of hand and 2 scouts who went up the river have since gone missing. Not that these things are necessarily connected, but he tells us anyway. So as well as going looking for the missing scouts, we need to drop a beat down on some wolves and bears. Up the river we go, but as I am close to level 9, I decide to deal with the wolves and bears first so that we can get that ding, and while doing this, I get my first group invite and we slay together. What a team we make, right up until the point where Modesty gets the kills they need, then disbands the groups, and I am alone again. Never mind. I only need a couple of prowlers anyway, so off I go. I don't need no one else. I'm a 5-star dwarf. As I run back to Elwyn Bridge, I am getting excited that we are almost there. Just 1 more level to go, and then we'll be ready. In order to speed that along, and because the game genuinely presents me more of a challenge than I have ever experienced in Azeroth, I buy some armour upgrades from the shop vendor to provide what little benefit I can get. If I can get even 1 point higher, it has to help. As we are dealing in such small margins for improvement, I run back to Stormwind to hand in a quest and see if we can get some more skills and buy myself a new gun. As before, every little helps. I can get more skills, but as usual, I haven't been keeping an eye on my finances and I have spent all my money. I scraped together enough to get concussive shot, which slows the enemy, and I chose this as my thinking is anything I can do to get more range shots off is probably best. So now that we have upgraded, we go back to test it on the Riverpaw gnolls that we had trouble with earlier. And I deal with them easier, but I still have to be careful not to pull too many at a time. But our old friend, lack of concentration, raises its head again, and I die because I got too carried away shooting things and forgot to heal. I wonder when I will get used to this, or whether it's literally going to take me forever to reach level 60. We're also seemingly fighting an uphill battle with RNG, as the fucking no armbands just refuse to drop. I mean, I kind of get it why it is made this way, but shouldn't every gnoll have a fucking armband? Or did I chop it up when we were in combat? I guess that would make sense, but it is a bit tiresome. Mechanically, many quests operate the same way, which tends to boil down to find a thing, kill a certain number of things, or collect a certain number of things, which is either done by clicking on the thing or killing a thing to get the thing. This is of course how it operates in retail, but the fact that they have sorted out the RNG and switched it to shared kills is definitely a positive. At this point I was doing this quest on my own, as in there weren't other people around, rather than I was in a group. But if there are other people around and they attack an enemy first, then that kill is theirs. So not only are you fighting against the randomness of RNG, your chances are further reduced by the fact that you have to compete for kills, which is why you should really group up where possible. This is a topic I will cover in more detail in a later video in the series. Finally, we hit the armbands and run all the way back to Goldshire to turn it in. All of these design choices keep stacking on top of each other: the slow considered combat, the healing between attacks, the RNG, and the sheer amount of running you have to do. But we are just half a level away from level 10, so away we go again. As I've made some money questing, I go back to Stormwind, more running, and purchase the other skills I couldn't afford before, like parry, which hopefully should improve my survivability, I hope. Before I leave Stormwind, a couple of decrepit neurons in my brain fire at once and I have a flash of genius. I go to the inn and I make it my home. Now I can use my Hearthstone to teleport back there whenever I want to purchase upgrades, skills and repairs. Don't worry about why I never did that before, you don't need to worry about that. Slowly but surely, I am making improvements. Not only does this game test me, but it also makes me feel dumb at the same time. A quarter of a level left. We head back to the lake to find out what happened to the missing scouts. This is it, the final push. Surely if I can just knock out these couple of quests, we will be at the promised lands. I have to search the Murloc camp for the other missing person, and there are a couple of clusters of Murlocs, so I have to be careful how I pull them one by one or I will die. Another issue I encounter in Classic is that not only do you have to consider how many enemies there are, you also have to consider whether or not those enemies will fucking respawn while you are trying to heal after the last combat and absolutely wreck you. What kills me makes me stronger or something. But whilst trying to do the Murloc quest, I actually just hit level 10 through killing things, and so I immediately abandoned all of this stupid shit and hurried back to Stormwind as we have a destiny to meet. This is it. Aneris Brightspear has a quest for us to find a companion. She also says I look like I can handle a beast, but that is a conversation for another time. Finally, we can begin the next stage of our adventure. So join me next time as we continue our journey through vanilla Warcraft and towards our destiny of responsible pet ownership.
Tiger!